This video is sponsored by Squarespace. If you need a website, domain or online store, make your next move with Squarespace. Hello, so one of the questions that gets asked the most is how does the roll of film turn from a roll of film into actual photos that are digital and on Instagram or in videos. So today we're at Bayeux, which is the photo lab that we use, and going to be trying to show you the process of how this roll of 35mm film turns into photos and eventually digital files that you can have on your computer. So when you drop your film off at the lab, they'll normally ask you what you want, whether it's just to develop the film, whether it's to scan it, or also you could get some prints made. Personally, I just get scans made, and then if there are any images that I feel like are particularly worth printing, I'll just print the single image as opposed to the whole roll. After you pass the film over, it will then be logged into the system, and in this case at Bayeux, transported downstairs into the dark rooms. Once the film's downstairs and ready to be developed, it's logged with this little sticker which helps keep track of whose film is whose. It's then transported in complete darkness into the darkroom where it gets processed. After the film's in the darkroom, it gets removed from its packaging, in this case a canister, and then it's loaded onto a rack. The rack is then placed into the machine, which goes through a set of 10 different baths which contain different chemicals and water to rinse. After the film has travelled through the developing chemical, you're actually able to turn the lights on, so we were able to go in and have a look at what was going on, which was pretty interesting. I've never seen this before. After the film's been through all the chemicals, it is then left to dry completely before it's taken upstairs to scan. So Bayeux use an Aritsu to scan, which scans incredibly fast and does like a whole roll at once. So the film is loaded into the machine, and then you're provided with thumbnails to preview the images. At this point, the technician is able to alter the colour balance and exposure for you, so if you ask nicely, maybe the lab will be able to scan to your preference. To highlight an example of this, we actually scan the roll twice with 2 different looks. After it's all scanned, it's then taken downstairs to be cut and sleeved, so when you pick it up, it's all nicely prepared for you for archiving, and then either the scans are burned to a CD or we transfer it to you. And so here are the masterpieces that were made on that roll. As you can see, the normal way they're scanned is just nice, natural, cool looking. And then we also got some done that are extra flat. So the idea of this is that the images have as much of the highlights and as much of the shadows held in. The previous images kind of have a more contrasty feel, which looks good straight away, but if you want to be able to edit them to control exactly how it looks, getting it done flat so that you can play with how much contrast you want later, I just prefer that because in some images you could lose a bit in the sky or a bit in the shadows, and having the ability to choose what you want and what you don't is great, but it does mean you have to do more editing. So that's pretty much it. It was really interesting to be able to go behind the scenes at Bayeux. If you want to go and drop your film off there, I'm pretty sure they'll give you a discount if you say negative feedback sent you, which is very kind of them. And also, thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this episode. If you're looking to build a website for your portfolio, your store, your blog, anything, check out Squarespace. It's really easy to make your site, it looks really professional, and you can get 10% off using the code negative feedback. So thank you very much for watching this video, and hopefully there'll be another one very soon.